You see all the van life photos, you watch all the van tours, but do you wonder what this nomadic lifestyle is all about? Are you curious about life on the road? Social media calls it #vanlife. We call it home. I'll ask 10 questions to get you the stories that you want to hear from the people who live, work, and travel and adventure in this nomadic lifestyle. Welcome to Life on the Road.
Do it.
Okay, perfect. Welcome to another episode of Life on the Road, where I ask 10 questions to get you the stories about her life on the road. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fabulous.
It's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. It's fun.
Yeah, no, again, like anybody on the show, I'm greatly appreciative of your time and doing this for me. So it's
One of
fun.
the things I wanted to experience on the road was hearing people's stories. So what a great place to share mine.
Well, yeah, and honestly, it's why I've started this show is so that, you know, everyone's story or these fellow nomadic travelers that I live with and work with and adventure with can tell their stories. So yeah, I love this. As we always start the show, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from and how long you've lived on the road. And then also anywhere in between, shamelessly promote yourself. So.
Awesome. So my name is Jen. I go by Next Jen. I'm originally from Chicago, born and raised.
Okay.
And the last 10 years I've spent living
Wait,
in...
I'm gonna make you pause because I'm from Chicago as well. Where specifically?
Northwest suburbs, Des Plaines is where I grew up. I worked and bartended in the city before I left.
Okay. I was born in Aurora.
Amazing city, which I only appreciated once I left.
Yeah, of course. That's always how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then...
Spent the last 10 years in California.
Okay.
Was done with winter and snow and ice and wanted ocean and sun and mountains. So
Achieved.
I traded, skyscrapers for mountain ranges, and it was amazing.
Okay.
And it's kind of what gave me the bug for this.
Okay.
At 30-something, I was seeing new foods, new landscape, meeting new people, and like, wow, like how big is this world? And I want to do it again.
Nice.
What else is out there?
Okay. And then how long have you been on the road?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. This is
3
amazing.
weeks. Yeah.
Okay. So like
newbie.
truly new experiences for everything. So that's wonderful because I'm so excited to kind of explore that with you a little bit. Okay. And then shamelessly promote yourself.
Yeah.
Instagram, like...
So I'm on Instagram at NextGen, Jen, 09.
Okay. We'll have that down below. So yeah, all the
Facebook,
links.
Jennifer Ismar, that's my full name. I've been actually doing live Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives every day since the start of this journey.
Okay.
Just to chronicle the challenges and the struggles and the beginning of it. Because I think
kudos for you. That's amazing.
We see the end version and people living the lifestyle and the beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
But it was a road to get here.
Oh, for sure.
And I wanted to share that along with, I'm really big into mindset.
Okay.
And our thoughts and our words and how that creates our feelings. So it's a way for me to share both.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And again, it's why I've started this show is so that people get a better understanding of truly what real life in a van or in a rig on the road is actually like. So it's not all the pretty pictures that you see on Instagram, though those are very real. It's something very, very different, and it's much harder than people think. So
But the hardness is what makes it so worth it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And trust me, we're gonna get into all that.
Yeah.
So, okay, time to learn about your life on the road for the last 3 weeks, which is amazing. Congratulations. Question number 1. What was the beginning moment, cause, or inspiration to live your life on the road?
So it was a moment.
Okay.
It was
like
a very specific moment.
Okay.
I had wanted adventure for like 2 or 3 years. I kept saying,
Where were you living in California?
East Bay.
East Bay, okay.
And I kept saying, like, I want to travel more. I want to travel more. But I was a full-time CrossFit coach and then a powerlifting coach.
Okay.
So I needed to be in a gym to make a living.
Yeah.
And it was one of those someday.
Yeah.
One day.
Okay.
And it was
So you saw van life or the perceived nomadic travel at some point before that.
Sure.
And you're like, okay, that's interesting, but I need to be in one location to work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was always well, I can't do that until I'm in a relationship.
Yeah.
I need to be more financially stable. I need to have all my work on. There were all these things I thought, had to happen first.
Okay.
So it was that one day thing.
Okay. Fair enough.
And it was literally January 1st, New Year's Day. I was at the beach with some friends.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm so happy right now. Okay. Just being outside at the beach. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And it was literally in that moment that I said, and I told my friends, and they'll tell you the same thing, I am going to be living in a van by the end of this year.
Okay.
I don't know how. I don't know what I'm going to do for work.
Okay.
I don't know, but it is going to happen, and I made it a must.
So January 1st, 2022, you're having this epiphany on the beach in California, and then that year, 3 weeks later, today, you're in the van full time.
Yep.
Amazing.
And there were ups and there were downs and there were, I can't do it. And yes, I could do it. And no, I can't.
Right. So you still, even though that was the moment of when you said, okay, I'm going to do this, this is my goal, you still spent, we're, in December of the end of 2022 at this point. So you spent a full year kind of going back and forth with yourself in terms of actually still deciding on that moment.
Well, there were things that I had to figure out.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
The work.
Yeah, but you even just referenced, I still was going back and forth about I have to do this, or maybe I have to do this. And
yeah, because it gets hard. Every journey gets hard, and that's when we tend to waver.
Yeah, of course.
And that's when you fall. If you've committed in the beginning, that's what carries you through those sticky points, those hard points. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of how.
Okay, nice. All right, and it just took you, till today to get it kind of done.
Yeah, I was originally going to rent my sister's. She had one of these. That ended up falling through last minute, and so it was do I buy one? Do I build it myself?
Yeah.
I wanted to have the know-how of how it worked, but then that would have taken longer, and I was really just anxious to get on the road.
And that's amazing. It gets talked about a lot on this show, and I think it's advice that others have given in the past is if and when, only when you're really excited about the opportunity to live on the road is when you should go. If you're still kind of in that stage of I'm not sure yet, I don't know, I think I do, but maybe not, just be patient and just wait. And wait till you're really ready to commit and be excited about the concept, which it sounds like you were in.
Yeah.
You were all in, ready to go, and you were excited just to get on the road. So
I definitely had those moments, though, those moments of fear, right? Where you start to, what if?
Yeah.
Can I really do this?
Yeah.
What if it's not safe? What if
of
this
course.
or that? But you just have to push through. Let your faith be bigger than your fear is something I always say, right? Because both of those are made up scenarios.
Yeah.
You've got to choose which path you want to follow.
And we'll get to some of those in some of these questions. I think those will bring out, I think an answer like that will come out in a couple of questions for sure, which is amazing. Question number 2, how has been your experience with other nomadic travelers during your life on the road? So
interestingly, this has been my first experience, meeting nomadics or others that are living this lifestyle. I was part of the Tiny Fest event in Phoenix, which was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so cool to get to meet not only people living the lifestyle in so many different ways.
Yes.
Different vehicles, some people work full time, some people do other things.
Right.
But then meeting people who are interested and having conversations with them, and a couple people told me oh, you've really inspired me, and that that was really cool.
It's pretty nice, right? Yeah. We parked right next to one another at Tiny Fest, and so it was an amazing experience to not only see our fellow nomads, and I know quite a few of these people and I'm very good friends with them, but it was also nice to obviously you being brand new be in that environment too, because you're one of us no matter how long you've been living on the road. If you've been living on the road for a day, you're one of us. And so, but then to hear or let the general public come out and have that interaction with you and ask questions and talk about it, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And I'll have to say, anytime you're the new person in an already established group, that can be really hard.
For sure.
Because there's friends, there's, cliques. I didn't feel that at all.
Yeah.
Seriously, every person I met was so welcoming.
Yeah.
what do you need? I've got this, I've got that.
Yeah.
Like even being invited to here.
Yeah.
Like I'm 3 weeks on the road. Literally everybody who was there was invited.
Yeah.
It was not like we're all friends, we're going. It was you're part of this community.
Exactly.
And that was awesome.
And that's honestly, I would say, the majority of the nomadic community and the nomadic traveling community. That's what it's all about. Like at the end of the day, you know, we always talk about on the show, you're going to break down eventually. New rig, old rig, small rig, big rig, doesn't matter. Like you're gonna need help, and somebody in this community is going to help you. Whether it's a stranger, whether it's one of your best friends, like somebody that's traveling on the road with you will come to your aid and be a friend when you need it. And you know, and again, we're at this wonderful event, Tiny Fest. You know, shout out Tiny Fest. They're amazing. If you haven't been to one, please go. They're absolutely fantastic. But yeah, like, and I had no idea you'd only been on the road 3 weeks. I just learned this 5 seconds ago. Like, to me, it's still blowing my mind that you've been on there for 3 weeks. And, you know, when I first met you, like, we bonded over the fact that Ross Monster Vans, shout out Luke and Andrew and Ross and all the boys, we both own Ross Monster rigs.
Yep.
And so, you know, I just assumed you'd been on the road a long time. So now knowing that you've only been on there 3 weeks, I think that's absolutely incredible. Okay, question number 3. And this is where I think we'll touch on some of your thoughts earlier. What has been your biggest failure and the biggest triumph while living your life on the road? And I want you to include that time leading up to the van as well, because obviously only having been on the road for 3 weeks, you know, that time's shorter, but you spent a lot of time focusing on it and getting ready and prepared. So I think that part of it is so important for people to know about as well.
Yeah. So. Biggest failure happened recently.
Okay.
I actually took the van to a car wash before the show. I was like, I have to clean my van. It's got to look pretty. It's in the show.
Oh no.
So I washed the van, which was a comedy show in and of itself.
Where did you go? There's not a single car wash in the city of Phoenix that will fit Althea. Where did you go?
I found one somewhere, a truck wash, right? It was tall enough.
Okay.
But the thing kept getting stuck on my roof, and then it didn't beep, so I kept having to put like 3/4 in to restart it. And then I set the handle down in a bunch of pigeon poop, and I picked it up, and I was like, So that wasn't even the biggest failure.
Okay.
So the van's clean. I did that whole thing. I'm leaving.
Okay.
And the parking lot is like this big dip, which I hit on an angle.
Oh no.
Don't do that in a tall van.
Yeah.
Because everything literally went
shakes.
Whoosh. Whoosh. And then all my glass dishes went whoosh. Shattered freaking everywhere. A billion pieces. I've never seen glass shatter so much.
Okay. This
Oh my gosh.
If you're a nomadic traveler or if you live in a rig, this is going to happen to you, and it happens to every single person. My story of a drawer exploding was on the curviest road in America, which happens to be probably just north of Napa Valley. If you're in Napa Valley, Calistoga area, there's a small section of road leading into Napa Valley that is incredibly curvy. And I had my entire utensil drawer slide out and explode everywhere. And it made literally the most loudest noise I've ever heard in my life and scared the living shit out of me. But I can imagine dishes. Okay, first of all, glass dishes.
So I was just going to go there. I wasn't going to bring glass, but I was trying also not to wait. Like I threw out so much stuff or donated so much stuff coming here.
Yes.
Those were one of the things that I was like, oh, BPA, plastic. I don't want plastic. I have glass. I had it bubble wrapped. Okay, I had every piece wrapped in bubble wrap. I'm like, it'll be good, except for bubble wrap doesn't help when it falls 10 feet
like
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. 6 feet from the ceiling.
Now I will be buying something other than glass.
Yeah, okay.
So that was the biggest fail. And you know what? What a blessing that it happened at the car wash. Yeah. There was a vacuum. Yeah. It was no big deal.
Yeah, and again, like it happens and we talk about it all the time. Yeah. Everybody's failure that they've always provided in the show has always been just a great learning experience at the end of the day. So it's never been anything that's like so catastrophic that, you know, is irreplaceable or not fixable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Biggest triumph?
Yeah.
Was getting the van.
Just starting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, there were a lot of variables I had to overcome.
Sure.
There were so many great opportunities for me to be able to back out, and everyone would have been like, yeah, you know, that was a really hard obstacle to overcome.
Yeah.
And I didn't give up.
Okay.
And I kept going, and I flew from California to North Carolina to buy a van that I had never seen in real life before from a guy that I met on Facebook, not knowing a thing about RVs or vans or anything.
Yeah.
Like, I get there and he explains everything to me, and literally I leave and I had to pull over because I like started shaking because it sunk in what I had just done.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't stop smiling.
It's awesome. Heck yeah.
People were probably like looking at this chick with this big ass grin on her face driving her van, like, okay.
That's amazing though. But talk about those hurdles that you had, the challenges that you had to go through to kind of get prepared to that moment before you purchased the van, before you flew to North Carolina, before you drove off the lot with this thing headed back to California. Talk about those hurdles that you had to cross and figure out in order to do so. Because I think it's important for people to realize that, you know, getting yourself organized, getting yourself prepared to get on the road, whether it's like making sure your job is good, whatever it is, making sure your life is good, making sure your finances are good, making sure like everything in your life is kind of somewhat in order is usually the best way to do it.
Yep.
So.
Job was one.
Okay.
Because like I said, I was a coach in a gym.
Yeah.
And honestly, the pandemic helped with that.
Okay.
Because training got taken online, and I started to move more towards nutrition and a holistic health coaching model and mindset, because mindset was my biggest hurdle. I, for a very long time, was stuck in a really bad place where it was like, why is everything happening to me? And, you know, blaming everyone and excuses for everything. And shifting my mindset to more of gratitude and positivity is what actually allowed me to eventually be here, honestly.
Okay.
So, and it was a good year's process of trying things and failing, and trying something and no, that's not what I want to do, and trying something and I don't like that, and it was hard. Yeah. But I knew I would eventually find it.
Yeah.
And I did. I ended up like having a conversation with another coach. And just in talking, like, kind of heard that they were looking for somebody. And so I asked, like, hey, are you guys looking for somebody?
Right.
And they totally were. And had I not had my eyes open for that stuff, I would never have gotten that opportunity.
This was coaching kind of digitally or like virtually?
All virtually.
Like all virtually.
All on Zoom.
Okay.
So I'm not training people anymore. It's all more mindset work and holistic health. So meaning we talk about morning routines, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about you know, the things we do on a daily basis, like everything outside of exercise and nutrition, including that.
We'll get to the details of that because I will definitely want to get into that. Yeah. But I love the fact that you took a job that you had that required you to be in one location full time and transitioned that into something that could be nomadic and on the road, which is, again, I think that just is a great representation of you're not always necessarily stuck. Like if you do work in an office setting, go ask your employer if you can work remotely. Like, you know, there are ways in which to do this lifestyle. It's not, you know, there are hurdles in front of you, yes, but there are ways to get through them. So I think it's a perfect example.
And there's different types of working online. Sure. For me, flexibility was really important. Yeah. I didn't want an 8 to 5 on the road. Right. Where I had, like, that felt like prison to me. When I used to work in an 8 to 5. Yeah. And it literally felt like prison. Yeah. So I wanted something that I could do at 10 o'clock at night or 6 in the morning. Sure. So I also partnered with a supplement brand that affiliate links. Okay. Right? Like that's the wave of the internet now is, you know, we recommend things to each other. Like this has really been working for me. Yeah. And here's $10 off and I get a small commission. So you're supporting me. I'm helping you. Yes. And it's on my own time. Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. So I think I think your story is so relevant to the van community because there's so many people that are trying to get involved in our community. And I think that's what we want. It's the basis of this show. But your story is such a perfect example because you're so new to this and you've already worked through these hurdles, which I think is, again, testament to you, and congratulations for, you know, being on the road for 3 weeks. Thank you. It's pretty awesome. Question 4, did you start your life as a single person and what is it like living on the road as a single person? Well, 3 weeks. So yes, single, still single. 3 weeks on the road, started single, still single. So it's been awesome. Yeah. Like I get to do whatever I want.
You want. Exactly.
Like, if I want to go hang out at the gym for 4 hours, I can do that. If I want to stay here or drive there or go, like, I don't have to ask permission.
Yeah.
I get the whole bed.
Yeah.
Like, everything is about me.
Yeah.
So, not gonna lie, kind of nice. But there's also there's both sides, right?
Yeah.
Like, then it is just me.
Just you.
So I was in Vegas for like 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
And by the end of, I think it was 5 days, the 5th day, I was like, I need to see another human.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to just see someone.
Yeah. I mean, again, it gets spoken a lot on the show, a lot of high highs, low lows. And more often than not, the low lows often get referred to in a form of I'm alone, you know, truly alone. And it's something that I think people need to realize if they're going to experience van life or be a part of this community, you're going to need to find some happiness in the time you're by yourself. Like, it's so important. And you know, again, that looks very differently for many different, or many people. That form is very different. But at the end of the day, you're going to spend a lot of time by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and that's hard sometimes. So
it's something I've been used to. I've been single for a while. I've always just been really independent.
Okay.
Where I'm okay being by myself.
Sure.
I've done a lot of work on myself too, to be okay with myself.
Okay.
Because there was a while where I needed to drink or do things to not be with myself.
Right.
And I find a peace now in being alone.
Okay.
But then, like I said, after a few days, I'm like, okay.
You're like, it'd be nice to see some people. Yeah, for sure. And again, that's also what happens in this community and gets spoken a lot on the show is that, you know, you're going to spend 4, 5, 6 days a week, 2 weeks at a time by yourself. And then all of a sudden you're going to find an event or something to go to and you're going to reconnect with all your friends again. Which is, again, such a benefit and a wonderful part of this community and how it kind of functions is, you know, the ability to go away and come back and go away and come back. And you're always welcome, you know, you're always welcome into these groups and these friends at any given time. And, you know, that moment that you need to see people, you reach out and you say, hey, let's meet somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's a really good thing. So
I think one of the greatest questions I was hearing some of the other nomads like ask each other is, where have you been since I last saw you?
Yeah, of
like,
course.
That's so neat,
Yeah.
right? Like, hey, we're here, and then go here, and now we're here.
And now we're here, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I met a lot of these friends, you know, earlier this summer, and that's exactly what happened. You know, we met at maybe Open Roads, and then you traveled for 2-3 months, and then we saw each other again at Descend on Bend, and then we traveled for 2 or 3 months, and we saw each other again at Moon Landing. And so, like, again, these fan meetups end up being kind of like a little bit of the glue for the community, and allowing you to kind of stay connected to your friends. But it's oftentimes like, you know, you go away and you come apart, and you go away and you come back together, and it's really a wonderful thing. So, okay, so still single.
Yep.
I love it. All right, question number 5. What is, and this is going to be fascinating if this has happened, I love it. What's the best place or craziest place you've had sex during your life on the road?
So, again, it's only been 3 weeks. How you doing?
Awesome. I love it.
So we haven't made that story yet.
Got it. So that story is still to be determined.
Part 2, to be continued.
To be continued, yes. Find out on a later episode for sure. Fair enough. I get it. Makes perfect sense. So we'll just blow right past that. That's an easy one. Question 6, and this is something I want to talk extensively about, is how do you make money while living your life on the road?
Yeah. So holistic health coach.
Okay.
That's all online through Zoom.
Okay.
And actually, I'm creating a program that's going to launch in January. I've taken the next couple of weeks to really focus on this.
Okay.
For me, like I said, mindset and story work specifically. So I had been stuck in this place of, you know, this victim mentality.
Okay.
Why is this happening to me? Why can't doctors fix me? I had a lot of digestive issues, insomnia.
Okay.
And here I was a coach. So I had this feeling like a failure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a nutrition coach, I'm a coach, I should be the epitome of health.
Right.
And here I was, my stomach would be like 8 months pregnant, I was so bloated.
Right.
Couldn't figure out what foods were doing it.
Okay.
I couldn't fix myself.
Huh.
And just created this whole I'm not good enough identity.
Okay.
This I have health issues identity.
Okay.
And I sat there for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was, I went to all the doctors, I took all the supplements, I did all the things for my body that I could to help my situation.
Right.
It wasn't until I shifted my thinking that things actually started to change. And so this has become a huge passion for me to help with others.
Sure.
So basically I help people get unstuck.
Okay.
Like we get stuck in life in the mundane or these stories that we have about ourselves that we're not good enough, I don't have enough time, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But we also have the power to undo that. It's
Very
a perception. It's what we see in our life.
Very much so. And it's interesting, and I love that sentiment. I love exactly the things you're saying. Honestly, it's something very similar to that happened to me 4 or 5 years ago, in a sense that, like, you know, I went through a divorce and you know, kind of was in a situation where I was kind of all alone and by myself, and which was maybe a blessing as well, but I didn't necessarily see it at the moment. And, you know, kind of had all these crazy ideas of what I wanted to do, and, like, you know, 10, 20, 30 things, like all these insane things. And ultimately I fell back on 2 things, and one of which was to wake up every day and consciously think about the concept of being happy. And, like, what does that look like? How do I think about me being happy every single day? And that alone, just that, to your point, that mindset of thinking about being happy and what does that mean to me, has basically changed my life. So
and happiness is an inside job.
Yeah.
Right? Because I used to think,
such a great statement.
Once my health was better, once I was in a relationship, once I had the car or the money, then I would be happy.
Yeah.
But I started to get those things.
Yeah.
And I still wasn't happy.
Still wasn't happy. Okay.
It gratitude, like, I'm really big on gratitude because it literally changed my life.
Yeah.
I went from spending every day focusing on how miserable I was, how tired I was, how bloated my stomach was, how unhappy I was, to just looking for one thing I could say I was grateful for that day.
Yeah.
And that turned into, like, look at the bird.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Oh my gosh, I never saw that rose bush before, or these trees, or I have running water every day. Like, what a blessing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to go get it from someplace.
Miles away,
And without my health changing.
I mean, it sounds trite, but at the same time, like, those thoughts are so powerful, like, so ridiculously powerful. And it's not hard to have those thoughts.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, people talk about it as a way of, like, oh, like, finding happiness is maybe tough, or, like, I have to your point, acquire things, and, you know, and it's really just, like, your brain is pretty powerful. Like, just having that simple thought can really make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our thoughts and our words literally shape our life.
Yeah, it's so well said, for sure. And it obviously, I think, going back, or my questions really are lying into, okay, the transition from CrossFit coach, Olympic lifting, things like that, powerlifting, into away from a physical office space, now into the digital realm. Now you're, you know, focusing on something that can be remote and working from the road. What did that look like in terms of kind of building that? Did you start a company?
Yeah.
You know, what does that look like?
So I was also feeling unfulfilled toward the end of my, like, CrossFit and powerlifting career.
Okay.
I was a good coach. I loved coaching.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I was helping people the best way I could.
Okay.
Not everybody was losing the weight and seeing the crazy results, or they were getting it and then they would always fall back.
Sure.
Revert back.
Okay.
And so that's when I started my shift into mindset work anyways.
Okay.
And that was when I tried a lot of different things. I was going to create my own company and be a nutrition coach, more like macros.
Right.
But then I was like, it's more than that.
Yeah.
I don't just want to tell people how much protein, carbs, and fat to eat.
Yeah.
Because then they don't do it anyways. Like, I really wanted to help people and find the best way that I could literally change lives.
Okay.
Not just spew stuff that I learned. That people weren't going to follow through on.
Okay.
So I tried doing it on my own. I ran some challenges. I was going to do, online coaching myself. And then, like I said, I found this company, Fit Mom Lifestyle.
Okay.
2 girls, one of whom I actually coached CrossFit when I lived in Chicago.
Okay.
We all reconnected. They already had the infrastructure set up for the nutrition coaching.
Okay.
And so I was like, you know what? Let me work with them.
Sure.
So I can start making money, because I didn't want to set up the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then I'll figure out, I was going to run retreats.
Okay.
So I kind of got started running these backpacking retreats.
Okay.
That were the idea of, like, take people out of their crazy busy lives, get them back in the backwoods, into nature, relax, calm. Let's talk about, like, the struggles that you're facing in your life. But I quickly realized that would not be something I could do on the road full time.
Right.
And then I found the Enlifted method, which is the mindset coaching certification that I went through.
Okay.
And it rocked my world.
Amazing.
And literally, like, from the first time I heard Mark, the owner, speak, was like, this is what I'm doing with the rest of my life.
Okay. That's
so
amazing.
That passion was like right there.
Okay. Well, and then you've obviously, spun this into something now you can do full time from the road. You're building additional pieces to this right now.
Yep.
Which again will have links all over the show notes explaining everything, website, all that stuff, and how to get in touch and that information as well. But and it's interesting that like you started with retreats into nature, which again, like you're in this mindset of like trying to make this transition, and you're already seeking the outdoors. You're already seeking like outdoor spaces, open spaces.
It was my healer.
Yeah.
Anytime I was inside, I felt more anxiety and pressure.
Yeah.
And I would just go outside for a walk.
Yeah.
And it was like,
pretty zen.
This is where I need to be.
Like we're in a pretty zen place right now in
amazing.
Arizona. And I mean, again, too, like it's, hello puppy dogs. This is not uncommon, happens all the time. There's many puppy dog friends around. It's one of those things in van life that, people are attracted to. They're attracted to the concept of like being outside all the time or adventuring outside all the time.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's probably the part that gets glorified on Instagram a little bit, which is rightfully so, because those places are amazing and we should highlight those places. And it's truly healing as well.
Yeah.
Like being able to park where we're parked and wake up every day and sit here, work for a little bit, enjoy each other's company, and spend time in this beautiful environment. It's a blessing. It's truly powerful.
There's literally studies done on how being in nature calms us, reduces anxiety.
Yeah.
And one of my big concepts is like we're all stuck in the on position.
Yeah.
Our nervous systems are heightened and we're just locked there.
Right.
But healing our body doesn't happen there. Losing weight doesn't happen there.
Right.
So before any of that can happen, you have to relax.
Yeah.
And going for a walk outside is like free, easy, like everybody can do it.
Yeah.
So I love.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. So I'm happy for you. Congratulations, obviously, in making the transition and being out here with all of us. So it's awesome. Question number 7. What is your vehicle? Who built it? And why did you choose it to live your life on the road?
So it's a 2017 Sprinter, the 170 wheelbase.
Okay. Not extended, we figured out.
Not extended, right.
After a quick tour in Althea, she's like, oh, yeah, this isn't as long as mine. Yeah, we got it.
So I'm the third owner.
Okay.
Like we said, the same company who built yours, Ross Sponsor, they built mine.
Okay.
Just for somebody else.
Yes.
So
and somebody else before that.
Right. I really wanted to get out on the road.
Okay.
I had watched so many videos, had thought I'd done all my research.
Yeah.
And I was trying to answer questions I couldn't answer without getting on the road.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do I want an indoor shower?
Yes.
What do I want for a toilet?
Yes.
Like all these things. You can't possibly know until you just get out there.
Yeah, very true.
So my intentions were buy a used one, already converted, get out there, live the lifestyle.
Okay.
And then if you figure out you want something different.
Yes.
Boom, get a different van or make modifications
100%.
Or whatever.
I think it's a great piece of advice, especially for, again, I think you're doing it exactly the way probably it should be done, is like, testing how you live on the road. Like, you're not going to know, like, again, I've added this show or created this show to try and help people listen to these conversations and have a better understanding of what it's like to live on the road. Is it going to answer everything? Absolutely not. Is it going to show you exactly what it's like to live on the road? Absolutely not. But the hope is some of these conversations at least answer some of those questions. But I think to your point, what you're doing makes perfect sense. Like, it's not quite maybe exactly the way you want, but you're figuring it out, and this is the best way to do so. So
and YouTube resources and Instagram was such a help for me. Yeah. Because you have no idea what to expect, and you could at least get an idea.
Of course.
And kind of pre-think about certain things like safety.
Yes.
I learned a lot from watching others, so it's awesome.
Well, and I mean, you bring it up, and I think it's a great thing for you, obviously being a solo female traveler. You know, what's it been like for 3 weeks? Mm-hmm. What was it like preparing yourself to start van life, knowing that you are a solo female traveler? And then what research kind of did you stumble upon that you found to be valuable? And then now that you're on the road, you're either like, oh yeah, that was really good, or no, that one really didn't mean as much.
Yeah. You know, I have certain weapons in the van for myself.
Of course.
I watched videos that helped as far as things like if somebody knocks, don't open your sliding door, right? Like keep all the doors locked, put your key in your ignition, roll down your passenger window or your driver's side window just a little bit. And actually somebody knocked when I was in Vegas, and he kept knocking on the sliding door, and I was like, I'm not opening that door. So I was like yelling out the driver's window, like, hey, could you come over here? I could see a truck parked behind my van. And I was like, I'm not opening that. And so I finally I rolled down the passenger window, which I don't know why I didn't do that sooner, but it was a security guy, so fine. And he just wanted me to move, but at the same time, I was not going to open my sliding door and invite you into my van. Again,
another great piece of advice or rule of thumb for a solo female traveler is, that sliding door is a huge access point, you know, and so even just, you know, getting it cracked or letting somebody have access, you know, to your home, you know, that's definitely a good piece of advice.
Even in, one of the other girls mentioned this, like, even if you go to the grocery store or the gym, try to use that door as little as possible because people shouldn't even know like what your layout is. I've been laying in bed having like these visions of somebody opening my back doors and pulling me out by the back seat. Like your brain can go some crazy places sometimes.
That's pretty funny. Liam Neeson style, like, you know, snatched out the back of her van, like, you know, taken.
Yeah, totally. So I try to be very aware. I'm always aware of my surroundings.
I think that's great as well.
Yeah, I'm not like on my phone or, you know, hanging out in the front cabin so that everyone can see it's just me. I also have a background in Krav Maga, which is Israeli martial art. So that makes me feel good.
Of course. That is a good
I know
thing.
The secrets, where to hit.
That's a very good thing.
But part of it is like, you know, I'm going to be just as safe here as I would in a house. Like somebody could break into my house just like they can break into a van. So I choose places that feel good. I stopped at a Cracker Barrel once that felt great. I ate there, went to the gym, came back, and literally I just parked, turned the ignition off, and some guy's walking towards me with like his like backpack of stuff. He literally walks right up to the van and looks at me and he's like, sup? And I'm like, nope, leaving or not staying here.
Exactly. And, you know, and it gets talked a lot on this show from other solo female travelers is, you know, really just relying on your instinct. Relying on the things that feel good, feel right, or don't feel right. And then in that moment, just leaving, changing your environment. It's the beauty of the lifestyle that we live. You're in a rig, you're in a van, you're in a vehicle that can move. And so take advantage of that if your gut says, this is not good. Let's change environments. Like, let's go somewhere else.
And it's interesting. That happened, in Bakersfield, and I had already had a hard time finding a place to stay. It was an 8-hour drive that day. And my first thought was, I don't know where to go. And then I was like, okay, relax. I moved right away, first of all. And then I was like, there's plenty of apps. Look at your resources. I ended up just driving another 25 minutes to a truck stop that felt great. I had a great night's sleep. So sometimes we instinctively go to, I don't know what to do. And it's just that stress response. So it's like, take a deep breath, relax. You know what to do. Open your apps, look for a new place.
Figure it out. And honestly, again, too, like, I'm just going to touch on this. I don't want to stray too far from the concept of solo female travel because I think it's such an important thing for people to hear about. But again, you're parking at a Cracker Barrel, you're parking at a truck stop. Like, this is a part of van life. This is real life. Like, yes, this is a beautiful environment where we're sitting in today, but we're not parked here every single day, sadly. You know, we're traveling and driving, and sometimes you are tired and you want to literally just pull off the side of the road. And sometimes the Loves is like a great spot. It's a big truck stop. It's super safe for the most part. You know, like, it's something I often do as I'm driving a lot. And, you know, that's a part of van life. And everyone's going to do it. Like, it comes with the territory.
It's not like I put all my screens up and I'm in my home.
You're in your home.
I'm not in Walmart. I'm not in Cracker Barrel.
Correct.
I'm literally in my home. The first few nights I was like, this is so cool. I'm in Walmart. And now I'm just like, it's just becoming normal so fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is actually a really good point, is like, yes, people make fun of the fact that you're going to stay in a Walmart or a Cracker Barrel or a truck stop or whatever. But at the end of the day, you're stopped and you're in your home where you feel comfortable, where you can do work, where you can cook, where you can spend time with friends. Like all these things that you have in a stationary home, or as my friend puts it, the carpet walkers of the world, which by the way, I loved the statement. Shout out Blakely. I love you to death. The carpet walkers of the world, living in a stationary home, it's the same thing. Like this is our home. You feel comfortable. So it's not so much necessarily where you're parking, but going back to solo female travel, that you feel comfortable in that environment. Yeah. That you feel comfortable where your van is parked that evening. So
there was once when I was driving it back from North Carolina, I had really planned my days because I wanted to know where I was going to stay.
Yeah.
But I forgot about the time change and how that would affect the sunset.
Okay.
And so I always wanted to get to where I was going to be by so light.
Yes.
Well,
another great rule of thumb.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially if it's going to be off the back road somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to see the ground.
Yep.
All that.
Yep.
So I get there it's really dark.
Okay.
And it's this road off the highway, and there's all these little forest roads.
Yep.
So I pulled off into the first one, and then I just see mud puddles. And I was like, fuck, can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear. It's not a big deal.
I was like, fuck, like I didn't want to get stuck. So I literally was like, just going to stay right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let me check that app again and see exactly where they said.
Yeah.
And some girl literally just posted like 2 hours before, I don't feel safe there. Somebody stole my camp chair.
Yeah.
Some guy was weird and came up to my van. And I was like, it's already like pitch black, 9 o'clock. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So I decided just to stay there.
Okay.
But that was not a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
The whole night I just kept, what's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Exactly. And again.
But it was fine.
No, and more often than not, and I'm not trying to downplay this at all, because I still am a big proponent of, if your gut says no, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like instantly. And obviously you're just getting used to this. You're just trying to figure out how to navigate in the van. Driving a 170 is still like terrifying and interesting.
Yeah.
You're new at it, and not wanting to get it stuck and take it from somebody who's got Althea stuck already once. Like, you don't want that. So you're hesitant. And so, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm just going to stop and I'll change my environment in the morning. But, that intuition is something to rely on for sure. So
I used to drive a motorcycle and a Mustang. Like, very different than a gigantic van that goes like this when you drive in the wind.
Yes, exactly. We need to work on the suspension a little bit so it's not so like wavy in the wind for you.
And faster. The thing won't go up past like 40 when I'm going uphill.
Well, I can help you with that as well. So we'll do a little Rentec tune on the van.
Sweet.
Yes. Okay. Question number 8. What is your best bathroom? Number 1 or number 2 story from your life on the road? First of all, is there a toilet in the rig?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a cassette toilet.
Cassette toilet. All right.
Which I wanted, ideally, a composting toilet when I did my research into toilets.
Okay.
But
as everybody knows on this show, I am a huge fan of composting toilets.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of cassette toilets. Shout out to everybody that uses a cassette. Good on ya. No.
And let me tell you why.
Yeah, there we go. Let's hear the story.
So I was not going to poop in this thing, right? But
number 1 only.
Yes.
It's a common thing with cassette toilets.
Yes, but there was once that I stayed with Boondockers Welcome.
Yep.
And there you have to be like self-sustaining.
Yes.
And in the morning I had to go, and so I did.
Okay.
So like 2 days later, I'm in Texas. This is September, PS, and it's really effing hot outside.
Okay.
And I'm pulling into a campsite actually, and I'm like, my van smells. That smells. So like, I gotta dump this toilet.
Okay.
So it's 2 pieces, right?
Yep.
And I take it off, like you're supposed to carry it like a suitcase.
Yes.
But I was like, I'm just gonna hold it this way until I get it out of the van in case.
Oh, good Lord.
Right?
Yes.
So thank God I did that, because the minute I held it like a suitcase right outside my van, it started coming out.
Coming out.
The knob was turned on, not off.
Yes.
And The smell was the worst thing I've ever smelled in my entire life.
Yes.
So I went to the bathroom and I dumped it in the toilet, and thank God nobody else was in there. It was so bad that I was like, I will never, ever poop in that thing again. And I have not.
Okay.
But even better than that, so I like thoroughly cleaned it after that.
Yes.
And the next time I went into somewhere that had elevation,
oh Lord.
I go to bed.
Yes.
It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm half asleep.
This story has been told a few times on this channel.
I open the thing to like whatever, and it goes, and it like sprayed water at me, and I literally just stood there and was like, I don't know what to do right now.
Okay, well, trust me, for others that don't know, oftentimes cassette toilets actually you put a blue liquid in there to help you sanitize and keep smell and odors down, similar you would see in a toilet, at a show or something like that. And more often than not, when you change elevations and you drive from a low elevation to a high elevation, pressure gets built. And there's horrifying stories of people opening up their cassette toilets and this blue liquid and shit and or other things getting sprayed all over themselves. So a little bit of water, thank God, was
I was gonna
the
say,
worst.
I guess it could not have been in a better situation.
Correct.
Because I had just cleaned it.
Yeah.
It was no blue.
There was nothing in
literally
there.
just some water.
Yeah.
And now I always keep the lid down when I open it.
Yes, exactly.
I learned.
Especially when you're driving over mountain passes or anywhere in elevation. Yes. Coming down from Flagstaff. Yes. Going to Flagstaff. Yes. From where we are. I completely understand. So, okay. So only number one in the cassette going forward.
Yes. Dig a hole. It's not that bad.
There you go. Exactly. Leave no trace. Dig a hole.
That's right.
Far, far better situation. Or just buy a composting toilet. So,
yes.
Well, yes.
I have a list of things that I want.
There you go.
And after seeing your van, my list got like 5 times bigger.
Touche.
Holy cow.
I guess I apologize for that. But yes, the Airhead composting toilet is maybe one of the best things in Althea. So I completely agree. Question number 9, describe the happiest and hardest moments living your life on the road.
So happiest is probably similar to my biggest triumph, which is like right after I bought it.
Yeah.
I had this overwhelming sense of pride, of confidence, of courage, of I can do anything, literally. Like,
that's amazing.
It was so, I just can't describe the feeling.
I imagine incredibly rewarding.
Yes.
Like at the end of the day. Like, you've obviously worked very hard. You referenced it where you focused on this for a full year.
Yeah.
And then this was ultimately, kind of the start, but also kind of the end product of all that hard work.
Yeah.
So that, I imagine, was a pretty amazing thing.
Like, I wasn't going to say this, but you know what? I'll just put it all out there. So one of the things I struggled with in getting the van was how to buy it.
Okay. I
didn't have the savings.
Sure.
This was why I was going to rent my sister's in the beginning.
This is such an important thing. So please, share the story.
So I was hell-bent on this happening, and I ended up closing my IRA to do it.
Okay.
Like, that was what I had. That was what I needed.
Sure.
And it was a hard decision because any financial person will tell you not to do something like that.
The investor to me, in me, just literally kind of like literally skipped a beat just for a second. But I understand. And it's something too that I have learned from a lot of investors in my lifetime, a lot of wise investors, where is in your 20s and 30s, you can be a little reckless with your investing if you want to. Your 40s and 50s.
43 PS.
Oh, well, okay. I'm 44, but I hear you. But also, you have time still to make that up, right? Like, it's not necessarily the end of the world. I would not recommend it if you don't have to. Yeah. But if you're in that situation where you do have to, there's still a lot of time to be able to make up that investment down the road.
And I used to have this thing with money that, I couldn't spend it. I always had to save it, and you're supposed to have your, 3 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm not happy with where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
I have this as an option.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
Up until the point where I actually took the money out, it was like, no, yes. And then I was like, it's money, dude.
Yeah.
I could die tomorrow. Yeah. And then what good is that money sitting in the bank for,
Yeah. And again, too, I'm always going to preach investing. You know, if you know me in real life and we've had conversations, I've had a lot of conversations, specifically with a lot of younger friends, where, you know, if you can and afford to open a brokerage account, please open a brokerage account. Buy Apple, buy Amazon, buy whatever company that you believe in, and then literally never touch it.
Yeah.
Like, just stick it away. If it's $20, if it's fractional shares, whatever you can do, like, it literally in 20 or 30 or 40 years will change your life. So I'm always a big proponent of that, but I understand exactly the situation you're in.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that you needed to change in your life, and these were the funds that you had. And so it makes perfect sense, you know, for you to take this leap. So
yeah, and I just wanted the experience. I wanted the experience. I needed a change in my life, and it was worth it.
Okay. Like, don't even think about it. You, like, there's no regret whatsoever.
100%.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, I love that. I can't believe that that's the process. But again, too, these are funds that you worked very hard for over the years. And, you know, why not use them to do what you want to do for the rest of your life, or for the next however long you want to do this. But go have some experiences. You never know,
like, what doors can open.
Sure.
Like, you can never plan for what the future is going to be.
100%.
And so for me, the possibilities of who I can meet, what my life can look like, and spending that money now versus sitting in a room on my computer in the same place that I had been for years, it was just not an option.
Yeah. I mean, again, too, like, it's something that I think a lot of people on this show talk about in terms of, you know, their ability to kind of, and the word often gets used as freedom, and freedom gets defined very differently for every single person. And you basically just kind of, you know, simply defined it. Like, rather than sitting in one place, in one location, with the same group of friends, in the same job, in the same place, now you're choosing to kind of be able to do anything and everything that you want. It comes with a lot of responsibility, but, you know, oftentimes, you know, that word freedom goes hand in hand with that. You know, you have a lot of responsibility in doing so, but that responsibility is so rewarding, or that freedom becomes so rewarding in all the things you get to see and do. So that's pretty amazing.
Failure?
No, hardest.
Hardest.
Yep.
Oh, hardest. The first night.
Really?
So
that's interesting.
I bought the van in the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
Okay.
And my Uber driver had told me to drive through the Outer Banks versus like going inland.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. He's like, you're going to have to take the van on 2 ferries. I'm like, can I do that? Like, again, Mustang to this. Yeah. I'm literally like, this is so much different to drive.
Yeah.
But he's like, you will drive right on and you drive right off. It's fine. I'm like, okay. So I get stuck on the middle island because the other ferries, it was too late, didn't run anymore. Okay. So now they're like, oh, well, you have to camp on the island. Here. There's no stealth camping in the Outer Banks. Yes. So it was campgrounds. So there were 2. One that had hookups, which was full, because that was my first choice. Right. And then one that was like way in the back, that was just like free land or $20 a plot or whatever.
Yeah, primitive though.
Yeah. So I do that. Beautiful sunset. I take a shower. I'm like, not bad. Get in the van. Again, it's September. It is so hot. Yeah. Those vans get so hot so fast. Yes. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to turn the air on, or run the generator is what I was gonna run the generator. Generator's not working. Okay. So now it's like 8:30. It's pitch black. So I call the guy who sold me the van. I'm like, the generator's not working. What do I do? And he has like, well, you have to go out there and like turn this off and jimmy that. Yeah. And I'm like, there's really bad mosquitoes. Do I have to go outside to do that? He's like, yes. So again, just showered. I'm in my pajamas. I go outside, literally start sweating instantly. It's so hot. Yeah. And I am like, I can feel these mosquitoes sucking the blood out of me. I had welts all over. So I'm under there. He's like trying to talk to me. I don't have a flashlight. I have my phone because all I had was suitcases. Like I didn't have all my stuff yet. Right. So I can't see anything. I'm on the ground. I'm filthy. I'm drenched in sweat. I'm getting eaten alive. Everything he's telling me to do is not working. Yeah. And he's like, if you want to get a hotel, I'll pay for it. I'm like, yes, thank you. And literally the hotel was like closing at 9 and it was 8:30. And I was like throwing all my stuff. I gotta get to the hotel. Oh my goodness. And so it was hard. Yeah, again. I mean, that, like, everything I'd given up, like, I went from this really high to this really low in one day. Yeah. But at the end, I was like, okay, I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm in a hotel.
Yeah.
I was headed to my family, so I had one more day on the road
Sure.
before I could get somewhere stable.
Right.
I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, and oftentimes, again, too, like we talk about it, like there's no shame in getting a hotel room.
Yeah.
There's no shame in getting in an Airbnb. Like sometimes you need to just get off the road.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this is your first night, which is kind of comical and funny and makes for a really great story because, you know, you buy this van to, you know, find your freedom and
Right.
find these places and you literally got to retreat to a hotel room.
Yeah.
But I can understand and it's okay. It happens to the best of us. And again, there's going to come a point in your travels over this next 6 months to a year where you're going to be like, God, I need to get off the road.
Yeah.
I need literally a 25-minute shower and just like, I need a hotel room. I need an Airbnb. I need to go find a friend, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's completely okay.
So one of the girls I followed talked about house sitting.
Sure. Yeah.
Which I thought was brilliant
Yep.
for that, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's websites where you can be a house sitter, you
Yep.
can watch somebody's animals while
Yep.
they go out of town.
Pet sitter. Yep.
So for me, I was like, that's awesome. I love animals,
Yeah.
but I don't want the responsibility. So I can be off the road when I need
Yeah.
to, play with somebody else's dog.
Yeah.
Like, perfect.
It's a great, and then you make a little money on the side. Exactly.
There's no money exchanged.
Oh, there's not.
Yeah, it's just you get to stay, they get a free pet sitter.
Okay.
Some sites may. The one
I know
did
there
is
are
not.
some sites that do pay for it. It's like an actual potential like revenue stream for people, which I know people have
People
made money
do this
on. So.
full time.
Yeah.
Like literally house sit to house sit, and they travel the world doing
Yeah,
that. I was
just
like,
doing it.
no idea.
Yeah, kind
No
of amazing,
idea.
right? Okay, last question, number 10. In your own words, define #vanlife and then give one piece of advice you'd give somebody wanting to live a life on the road.
So you mentioned freedom,
Yeah, of course.
and that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
I think I said, like, I started in an 8-to-5 office job out of high school,
Yeah.
and I did that for years, and I was good at it, but it literally felt like prison to me.
Okay.
You have to be here at 8. You can't leave till 5. You get 2 weeks paid vacation a year.
Right.
If you have to ask me if you want a day off.
Right.
Like, I just wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it.
Of course.
And being a trainer or a coach was better.
Right.
Because a lot more flexibility. I could take more clients or less, and that. But vacations were still hard.
Right.
This is a freedom to not only go wherever I want, but be whoever I want.
Yeah, of course.
Like there's no, I don't know. It's like you're accepted as you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about your things or
Yep.
your whatever.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah, I think that's actually very wonderfully said. It's, we're sitting here with 20, 25 rigs.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody lives in a different home. Everybody has a different background. Everybody's rig is, big, small, expensive, not expensive, whatever. But nobody really cares.
Yeah.
The whole point is that you're here with us and we want to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much about your rig, though we're all fascinated by rigs. We all love rigs.
Mm-hmm.
We all love how rigs are laid out and designed and built and set up. But at the end of the day, we just know that's your home and that we want to get to know you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why, you're here or, why everyone else is happy and that type of thing. So it makes sense.
It's interesting. Moving into a lifestyle where generally you would think you're alone more than not.
Yeah.
I've found more community
Yes.
and friendships than I have in my 43 years
Yeah.
of. I shouldn't say that. CrossFit gyms were a really big community
Yes,
as well.
it is a great community as well. You're right.
And it's like-minded people, and
Yeah.
we need community.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic showed a lot of us that when something's taken away, how
much it
important-
affects you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
mentally, everything.
Yeah, definitely. And two, again, like that concept of freedom gets spoken over and over and over and over again on this show, but it's defined so differently by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It means a lot, and it means different things to different people. But it's still, at the end of the day, is that concept of like, I can really go and do and be anywhere I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of encapsulates exactly what that idea of freedom really is. And then on top of it, you get to share it with your friends along the way, which is pretty awesome.
It's a shift in a way of thinking. Because depends on what you're exposed to very young, but you you hit a certain age, then you get married, then you have kids, and you have a full-time job, and then you save your money, and then you take your retirement, and like that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to.
That way. Yeah.
Like life can be whatever you want it to be.
No, it's exactly right. It can be a lot of different forms, and this is the form we choose, and it's pretty awesome. So, and then a piece of advice you'd give somebody wanting to live a life on the road.
I have a sign in there that says, "Let your faith be bigger than your fears."
Okay.
I mentioned that earlier.
You mentioned it earlier, which I love that statement.
Fear is just imagining the worst case scenario.
Okay.
In any situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Faith is imagining the best case scenario.
Okay.
So we have the option to choose which one we follow.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I let fears dictate my life.
Okay.
You have to save your money. You can't do this. You're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
But I didn't look at the other side.
Yeah.
What if it's the most amazing adventure of my life? What if I meet the love of my life out there versus sitting at home, doing whatever?
Yeah.
Like, what if all these amazing things happen? Like, what about all the places I can see?
Right.
And so let your faith guide you and not the fears.
Sure.
Because recognizing that they're just made up and that you get to choose.
Yeah. Well, and also too, like I like that you mentioned fear. It's been said on a couple different occasions on the show, whereas like finding some comfort in that fear is okay. If to your point, you're ultimately letting your faith drive you, you're still going to have fears. You're still going to go, like, this life on a daily basis is stressful. You're still going to have a very high level of discomfort and stress and things that will be fearful in front of you. But I think with the concept of letting the faith guide you, you're capable of sitting and dealing with those fears at a much better level, a much higher level. So
we need the lows to appreciate the highs.
Yeah.
We need the bad to appreciate the good.
Of course.
There always will be both sides.
Yeah.
It's not getting stuck here.
Yeah. Well, and again, the last question is very tongue-in-cheek for a very specific reason. We all know #vanlife is kind of like this kind of mythical, kind of, funny thing. Those of us who live it every single day, we kind of laugh at it. But those things are real. I don't like people saying #vanlife or Instagram is fake. No. Those are all real things.
Yeah.
Those are all real photographs. Those are all real places that we all experience together at some point. Those are where we want to go in those environments that we want to spend time in. But at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily define or give you a good example of like what our day-to-day life is like.
Totally.
And that can be hard. I want people, and people need to understand that it's a hard life. But the rewards, the benefits are so great that it's worth it. It's worth every hardship you go through.
And I think that's a problem with our society these days, is there's not enough hard.
Yeah, that's true.
One of my other things is like change your relationship with hard.
Okay.
Stop avoiding things that are hard. Stop avoiding challenges, because that's how we grow and learn and we feel alive.
Yeah.
When we don't push our Tony Robbins always says, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And that's true. There's no such thing as staying the same.
Yeah.
So if you are not challenging yourself, and it doesn't have to be van life, like even a really hard workout is a challenge,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But if we stay away from challenge, away from that stuff, then when we're faced with it, because it is inevitable,
Yeah, of course.
we don't know what to do.
Yeah,
and
of
we
course.
freeze, and it debilitates us.
Yeah. Well, and two, like, the questions with happy and hardest and triumph and failure, more often than not, like guests on this show have said, my failures ultimately become my triumphs. And so it's those moments where when things get really, really hard, it's where I find my true happiness.
Yep.
So like in those moments, it's and again, this lifestyle is not easy. We cannot stress this enough. It's not meant to be an easy life. Living on the road is very, very challenging. But again, the flip side is the rewards that we get back are so great that it makes everything worth it. So,
Totally.
Amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
This was amazing. I really appreciate your time and answering these questions, especially being 3 months, 3 weeks.
Good
Lord,
weeks.
3 weeks new in the van. So kudos and congratulations on that. And we'll definitely be seeing you down the road. So
thank you so much.
We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you. All right.
So do I like look at you? Do I look at the
You
camera?
can, you can look at whatever you want. So that always
Good,
works
because that's
out.
my good side.
There you go.
I don't really know what side's a good
Okay,
side.
well-
Try doing like a Facebook Live when
Oh,
you're
I know,
sharing
which
yourself.
is like right here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you
Yeah.
you're looking at. It's so weird. The first time I did that,
imagine.
I was like, fuck, what do I say? I don't know. I just can't stop looking at my face.
That's so much.
Absolutely.
I just realized that my real job is calling me. So
Oh, you have a real job.
I kind of do. Yeah,